All right, the Mary Sue is getting mad that people are, of course, annoyed with the fact that they are revising X-Men 97, is what it comes down to at the end of the day. This is from the crowd. They always go, the X-Men was always woke when you try to talk to them. And, of course, that's been proven on this channel, on Eric July's channel, and others over the last several weeks that that was definitely not the intended case by Stan Lee. Now, they love to revise history. It's always year zero. They don't ever remember anything before. These people just have like the shortest term memories possible. And they don't think that, of course, anything is woke. They've even moved the needle at this point to say feminism's not woke. It has to be like a black trans disabled person to be woke, after all. And that's absolutely crazy. Now, they wrote this article over on the Mary Sue that's ridiculous, and I'm just going to laugh at it here with you real quick. We're going to have some fun because, gosh, they're so dumb. And they're so idiotic. It just is what it is. I've not read the article in advance. I love to live react to this kind of stuff because I think it's fun. But I did read the headline, and oh my gosh, let's dive into this and do a deep dive. My name's John Delarose. If you're new to the channel, I'm a #1 best-selling author and award-winning comic creator myself. I've got wonderful books on my website, full graphic novels, Overmind, The Cosmic Warrior. I've got others somewhere. I did 12 full graphic novels already. And of course, I've got those going on. If you want to check out my work, highly recommend those. If you have any questions in the comments, I will happily answer. And of course, I've got a Subscribe Star also, which is like a Patreon alternative. And we're trying to get like a comic publisher going through that. It's also helping support my website, Fandom Pulse, which is bringing you the news content. So if you want to support me monthly, I'd really appreciate that too. Go on that link and, of course, help us fight the culture war here against groups like Mary Sue. We really need to get these coffers going so we can build things. I've got huge vision for the future, and I really appreciate those that are there and, of course, the early adopters too. Okay, so this is my Subscribe Star. And if you look at the Mary Sue article, here it is. How are all these neckbeards and Republicans fans of the X-Men? So it used to be about, like, diversity and inclusivity with these people. Remember about 20 years ago, they'd say, women should be allowed in your spaces too. Gays should be allowed in your spaces too. And it was all about that. And they wanted to have their representation there and be invited into the club. Most of us at the time were just like, hey, not a big deal. If you want to hang out and watch X-Men with us or read X-Men with us, absolutely cool. Now, the problem with that mentality of normal people who really just aren't thinking about this on that kind of visceral level that the woke are, is that when the woke get involved in something, they're not happy with just being there. They have to take over the organization and fundamentally transform it. X-Men is no longer just a book about, going out into space and fighting these epic galactic space adventures with a bunch of mutants and things like that. Now it's better be like this like civil rights kind of thing. And not only just civil rights, but trans rights and disabled people and all this stuff. It has to check all the boxes at all times. Otherwise, we're going to get even more outraged. And so they made it a slow burn. Of course, they made feminization a big part of it. They made like this whole pretend that mutants were some allegory for black people, which was never actually involved in it at all. Even in Chris Claremont's run, that wasn't the case. It was kind of like a UN together. This is the whole world coming together at the time, and it was really a reaction more towards like the big U.S. Russia arms race and saying, hey, we can all come together than anything like on the Martin Luther King level. Now, of course, once that, softened and got in there, it wasn't enough. They had to start making characters gay. Then they had to make them more gay. And then they had to make them even more gay. And then everything in the book is just about being gay all the time. And that's where we're at now. So yes, we were fans when it was just an adventure book, and this was basically a boys' book about beating people up with superpowers. I mean, that's exactly what it was before. Pretty cool. They're literally not for you. Well, not now, and that's why we're complaining about it. So here it is. Sometimes with men, the patchy beards overflowing into their necks, the ones who champion Comicsgate, say the most baffling and least self-aware things, like they don't want the X-Men to be woke in X-Men 97. Yes, those X-Men. Guess they never paid attention to the story. Absolutely funny right here, and an absolute lie. Now, you could tell that the Mary Sue's writing at this point is probably not even paid work. This level of writing, I would not allow this first paragraph to happen on Fandom Pulse because I'd edit it. This is this is somebody's like bad blog, and if you look at like Rachel Leshman and you look at who she is, you start to see why she's a bad blogger who doesn't have any like sort of writing talent whatsoever. She's just angry fat white woman probably lonely, and of course she's taking it out on people who are comic book fans on the internet. If you look at all of her posts, she's much the same. She's just angry all the time through everything. Cat lady, right? And that's the whole deal. All the way through, it's just a big thing where she just likes to go out and just be angry all the time. And she wants you to be angry all the time. That's what their whole deal is. They just want to make everybody miserable along with them. They're not going to be happy until that's the point. And so that's who she is. Let's look at what comics legend Chris Claremont said about the X-Men in 1982. They're hated, feared, and despised collectively by humanity for no other reasons than they're mutants. What we have here, intended or not, is a book about racism, bigotry, and pet prejudice. All right, so 1982 is a bit of a revision by that point already, but if you look at it, intended or not. Now, it's never good to hate somebody just because they exist, right? And I don't think many people on the right feel that way about anybody. Most people on the right just want to be left alone. They don't want they don't want to have to see like bizarre sex acts like thrown in front of them in kids' cartoons. That's not hating somebody over who they are. Go do that stuff away from us, and especially away from our children. But keep it out of things like the X-Men. It makes a lot of sense on that level. This is not the same case whatsoever. It's not about somebody's skin color existing or whatnot. This is something only you care about, Rachel. You want to actually hire people based on their skin color. We don't do that. That's called illegal. But when you do it against white people, it's totally fine. It's very odd how that works right there. Now, Chris Claremont also said in an interview that this was definitely not something about gay rights, and it was not something about homosexuality. And and he said that actually in 2012 at a gay convention. And he said, you can read between the lines however you want. He's encouraging people in their like little fan fiction, but like he said, this is not what it actually intended to be. Very obvious right there. Fact checked. Lee spoke to The Guardian in 2000. Again, this is much later, revising things. I couldn't have had everybody bitten by a radioactive spider or zapped with gamma rays. It occurred to me if I just said they were mutants, it would make it easy. So yeah, Stan Lee wrote this to just be like lazy without having to explain an origin. Then it occurred to me, having instead be them heroes that everybody admired, what if I made people fear and suspect and actually hate them because they were different? Well, this isn't new, and it has nothing to do with black people. This is exactly what Peter Parker Spider-Man was about. Peter Parker would go out as Spider-Man, and the media would then lambaste him and call him a criminal and all that. You remember that. That's actually a standard superhero trope. It's not something that is about somebody's identity whatsoever. Stan Lee goes, I love that idea. It made them different. It was good metaphor for what was happening in civil rights movement in the country at the time. Now, he started saying this later. And again, Stan Lee never said this kind of thing back when he was writing it or in the 70s or even in the 80s. And that's absolutely something that's true. At this point, by the way, it's the Republicans who are the hated minorities. I can say, hey, I'm a Republican, and guess what? I'll get blacklisted from every major industry. They'll try to life ruin me. I represent the X-Men at this point more than anything that. The gay shit's celebrated everywhere in the media, so they're quite the opposite, aren't they? They're more like the Sentinels trying to hunt me and my people down, aren't they? Very interesting how you can twist that around really quick, and it's actually more accurate that way. Maybe that's how it should be presented. Why is this important? Because Republicans, alt-right voices trying to take over the comic universe have been loudly screaming they don't want these characters turned into some woke thing. Have you met the X-Men? Oh my gosh, the writing again is just atrocious on this level. This is like some like really bad Tumblr blog level. Shouldn't be on a news website. The point is that the origins of the X-Men are connected to injustice and function as a metaphor for a marginalized community. There's nobody more marginalized than white people and Christians in this country right now. You are literally allowed to hire somebody who's not white, even if the white person is better qualified, and actually just do so based on the basis of their skin color or their disability or whatever. That is where we're at these days. With Christianity, you're not even allowed to talk about your Christianity without being shunned out of every single industry possible. We are the marginalized people at this point, and that's actually the point of all this. The X-Men, if they were representing that, would be, of course, tolerating the diversity of Christianity, the diversity of white people, and that's exactly what would be going on here. They can't do that because they're not allowed to write the X-Men. Somebody like me would never be allowed to write the X-Men. It's actually, if you look at it, an ironic anti-diversity stance by Marvel Comics that's going on. People like me are discriminated against that, and you are championing that. You are the evil band of mutants. And so when they yell in the void angrily about inclusion and diversity, they're missing the entire fucking point of the X-Men franchise. There have been allegories to HIV/AIDS in Marvel Comics history, amongst many more connections to complex human rights issues. This has nothing to do with any of this stuff whatsoever. Yet all these clowns watched X-Men 97 trailer and made comments on how they hope it's good and not woke. They became enraged that Morph is non-binary, which makes sense. It does not make sense, and actually was never written into things before. This is all new stuff. They're rewriting everything. They're changing all these characters for just the current left-wing propagandic politics. It's not about inclusion, it's diversity. It's actually about the exclusion of everybody. Now, this is the most poorly written piece of trash I've ever seen. Obviously, she didn't do her research, and I guarantee you Rachel Leishman does not read X-Men comics. Let's be honest, none of these people ever do. That's why these books don't sell. They're going after non-comic book readers for political points. And guess what? The political points go to the political parties. They don't go to you, Marvel Comics. They should change things and actually try to make something good for once. And hey, my number is available, Tom Brevoort. If you want to hire somebody with actual diversity, you can find me. Leave a comment down below. Check out some diverse comics in Overmind and The Cosmic Warrior. They're in my bookstore. Flying Sparks is a good one too. You'll absolutely love them because they're just good stories with heroism. How about that? They never try to sell that anymore, do they? Hit the like and subscribe button. Leave a comment down below. We'll be back soon.